Assalamualaikum and great day to Madam Mina and friends. We are from Group 13. We present our explanation report about process of stimulus response. My name is MALINDO, SIDEK, BAKAR, and my team members SAMMI, VOON, and NURIAH, BINTI, YUSOF. First and foremost, what is the process of stimulus response? It depicts how human behavior are observed and displayed. Stimulus is anything that causes a change in an organism, where response is the reaction to an event. Stimulus response is the uncomplicated, when the stimulus and the response have similarity of one or more properties. The process of stimulus response involves of three important phases, which are sensory input by sensory receptor processing information in brain, and motor output by motor organs. Early process of stimulus response was sensory input by sensory receptors. Sensory receptors allow our body react to the stimulus from external and internal environment. There are few types of receptor in human body, which are receptor of vision, hearing, taste, smell, and receptor on skin. Receptor of vision occur in the retina, whereas the light at different frequencies is the stimulus and it will be absorbed by the retina. Ear work as receptor of hearing, where the sound wave travel to the ear that contain numbers of hair cells. We create sound signals. Receptor of taste, located at the taste bud in the mouth. Taste bud, we recognize different type of taste, which are bitter, sweet, sour, and salty, because it contain various type of taste cell depend on different of taste. Receptor of smell, which is cilia in the nose, absorbed scent molecules. Last but not least, receptor on the skin is at dermis, epidermis, and hypodermis. It functions as mechanoreceptors, thermoreceptor, and nociceptors. Basically, sensory response will collect the information from the environment. So next, NURIAH will explain about processing information in brain.
Thank you, Ria, for the explanation. Hi, my name is NURIAH with the matrix number 76376. I will explain about the second process of stimulus response, which is the processing of information in brain. As Ria explained, sensory receptor sends stimulus to the central nervous system. Central nervous system consists of the brain and spinal cord, is the main control center of the body because it receives sensory information, organizes and synthesizes input. It also provides instruction for motor input to the rest of the body part. In the central nervous system, there are interneurons, which functions to transmit impulses between sensory and motor neurons. Neurons receive stimulus from sensory neurons and carries the impulses from the dendrites to the cell body and down to the fluid-filled conduit, which is known as axon. When the impulse reaches the end of the axon, synaptic vesicles open and release neurotransmitter, which is a chemical substance that can affect the electrical signal of the receiving neurons. The neurotransmitter then diffuses across the synapse and binds with the receiving dendrites of others. There are two types of neurotransmitter, which are excitatory neurotransmitter and inhibitory neurotransmitter. Excitatory neurotransmitter will increase the chance of neuron to fire, while inhibitory neurotransmitter will decrease the chance of neuron to fire. Basically, this is a process where sensory input is integrated to decide the appropriate output. Now, I would like to allow Sammy to present the last step. Thank you.
Thank you, NURIAH, for her detailed explanation on the previous part. Good day, everyone. My name is SAMMI VOON with the metric number 76688, and now I would like to continue on the last step of the process of stimulus response, which is known as the motor output by the motor organs. Similar to sensory neurons and interneurons, motor neurons are also responsible for the transmission of nerve impulses. But motor neurons will only transmit the nerve impulses from the integration centers to their respective effector organs, or what we call the muscles. Different types of motor neurons will innervate different types of muscle fibers. This is said so because small motor neurons will innervate small twitch fibers. Meanwhile, larger motor neurons will innervate large twitch fibers, or sometimes known as the muscle fibers that are susceptible to fatigue. In this slide, we can take a closer look at how the stimulation of the motor neurons will cause their respective motor organs to carry out certain types of response. There is this special synapse between the motor neurons and also the muscle fibers known as the neuromuscular junction. Once the action potential is generated in that muscle fiber, the nerve impulse will be transmitted along the sarcolemma, which is the cell membrane of the muscle fiber. This will then result in a series of sliding action between the thin and thick filaments of the muscle fibers and will eventually result in the muscle contraction of the organism. Thus, the organism will have the ability to make an appropriate response towards the stimulus in their surrounding. So here are some of the examples of stimulus response, in which the first picture depicts a man who is covering his nose. The stinky sock will be the stimulus, which caused the man to respond by covering his nose because he doesn't want to smell the unpleasant smell of the sock. With that, I'd like to represent my group mates from Group 13 to thank you for your attention. Have a great day.